Good morning, dear friends. Good morning and welcome to Monday, April the 29th, the year 2024, Common Era. Let me remind you, as we always begin, it is 190 days until the election. 190 days. 6 months, you say. No big deal. It's an eye blink. And what we will feel, and what you will see, and what you will notice, and probably have noticed, as you have made your way through these various times and these tribulations and the like, the hardest part is trying to get people to understand kind of what all of this stuff means. What does it mean, and what do we do, and what do they do? And what you will find out, and this will be the subject of today's disquisition, but what you will find out is that people just do not care about this. I mean, they care, but they don't. Imagine being in a room. Imagine being in a room, a house, and you smell fire. And everything around you indicates there is a fire. There is a fire. There is this, all indications from the smell of smoke to the sirens to everything. All indications are fire. And instead of doing something, you would sit back and say, remember Ma and Pa Kettle? Do you remember that? Was that before your time? I used to see him like on, I think it was Marjorie Main. I think, was that it? In any event, I don't know. And Ma and Pa Kettle were there, and it was like the Culhanes almost, like on Hee Haw. They said they're not crazy, merely foolish. So anyway, as we were watching this event, it was Ma and Pa Kettle. This one line was, "Hey Paul, the shed's on fire." All right. Well, what are you gonna do about it? And Pa said, pray for rain. And that's who we are. We're praying for rain. We're praying for something to intervene. Good people are just praying for something, I guess. I don't know. I don't understand what it is. We talk about this stuff, and I know you're talking about it. So today, the subject matter is very simply, it's going to be a look and a disquisition and exposition on how to inspire revolution, but not piss off the opposition. And we're going to talk about feelings that we have and notions that we have and this perception. Because let me tell you something. It is worse than anything you have ever seen. And what you are seeing and what you are being told is basically just to sit in your chair and just watch the fire. Don't do anything. We have a lot of great stuff online and great people, but really don't do anything. Don't worry about voting or anything. It's just, what are you going to do? So, dear friends, sit back, get ready to go. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you hit that button. Make sure you do not know. I think I've told you before. But it's so critical that you hit that like button, and also make sure you are subscribed. And I also put up a permanent link for Mrs. L's channel as well. All right, because we have to get. If you don't hear what we're doing, if you don't, by virtue of your likes, whatever, put us into this fast lane, then other people aren't going to be following us and listening to us and learning the holy word of truth. But before we begin, here is a very critical and absolutely vital thing for you It's no longer a question of if something catastrophic is coming, it's when. And while you still have control, still have time, what are you going to do about it now to prepare? Your first step is going to my website at preparewithlionel.com. Preparewithlionel.com. Your next step is stocking up on multiple 4-week emergency food kits from My Patriot Supply. And for a limited time, take $50 off a 4-week emergency food supply. My Patriot Supply is equipped to help you prepare. They've helped over 2 million families already. These 4-week kits with ready hour foods provide over 2,000 calories every day, 16 varieties, 25 years shelf life, breakfast, lunches, dinners, snacks, drinks, and they're sealed inside 2 31-pound rugged waterproof buckets, and they last up to 25 years in storage. Take advantage right now, my friend, and go to preparewithlionel.com. That's preparewithlionel.com. Okay, my friends, now let's make sure we understand what is happening here, and for all practical purposes, why we want you to pay attention, okay? First and foremost, in no particular order, I want you to listen, and I want you to understand this, and this is important. Number one, I want to discuss, and there's no order to this, so don't think that there's some sequencing, because there isn't. Part of it is what I want to say, and other parts of it are kind of, what I want you to be aware of. I am telling you something right now. President Trump talked about it, and we talked about it, and many of us talked about it. And that is very simply this, and this is important. Bobby Kennedy is not to be trusted. Bobby Kennedy, my friend, I say to you, is not to be trusted. Do you hear what I am saying? Do you hear? Do you grasp? Are you aware of this? Okay? Are you cognizant of what I am saying? I hope so. I hope so. Bobby Kennedy Jr. just so happens to have selected as his, I guess, his running mate, right? This Shanahan, this big tech operative from Google. I mean, seriously, Nicole Shanahan, this big tech operative, big tech, huge. They call her a California lawyer and philanthropist. She leads the Baya Eco Foundation, an organization she founded to direct money towards issues including women's reproductive science, criminal justice reform, and environmental concerns. She is what we would call, in all practical purposes, a whack job of the first order. She is the enemy, right? Now, this is his. Okay. Now, another thing nobody talks about, nobody wants to discuss because, well, Amaryllis Fox Kennedy. Who is that? She's a former CIA agent who is she is Bobby Kennedy's campaign manager. Campaign manager. Can you believe that? It's his campaign manager. This is the thing that absolutely drives me. Now, look, and also the wife of his son. Do you trust the Kennedys? Do you not see? Do you see? And this is, I mean, this may be beyond the pay grade of most people, but do you see Bobby taking one for the team, so to speak? I'll do it. I'll do it. Trump's not going to offer me anything. I had some fun sort of with this, business with the, this, whatever you want to call it, this vaccine stuff. But I'm not about to really get involved in anything really too deep in this. Okay. But I'm going to pretend that I'm running against him. Bobby Kennedy, I told you this before. I want you to pay attention to this now, because Trump's talking about it. This is a spoiler. This is a guy who can really screw up those margins. It's a guy who can really screw things up. Do you hear what I'm saying? And an ex-CIA, I know it's his daughter-in-law, but and this Google, suspect everybody, dear friends. Suspect everybody. Remember how he was? Remember how Bobby Kennedy was so he started off this was one of the, not the funniest things, but he started off absolutely. He made some crazy notion. It wasn't crazy at all. He suggested that maybe one day vaccines could be used to target particular ethnicities and the like. And he pointed to, believe it or not, I think it was Jews or Ashkenazi Jews or Sephardic or something. And somebody said, that's anti-Semitic, which Bobby should have let it go and said, that's ridiculous, and move on. You don't respond, but he's such a lightweight. So what he did was he got the loudest, most obnoxious, who, by the way, you don't see him anymore. You see others. This is before October the 7th. Shmuley Boteach, Michael Jackson's rabbi, America's rabbi, whose daughter was selling what was it? What did Candace Owens call it? Butt plugs. And I mean, this. He's been around for a long time, but Bobby latched onto that. Then October the 7th, and then it's like he doesn't know. So he doesn't have any real. Bobby has no political insight, because Bobby Kennedy before was always, I'm Bobby Kennedy and I'm so loved and I'm so cool and I'm so great and I'm so wonderful and I'm such a maverick. Well, that's great if you're kind of on your own and you want to do your children's defense fund, but not if you're running for office. No. So anyway, I want you to keep in mind that. Now, changing this subject a little bit, I want you to think about how it is that you and I, how do we think? Okay? How do we think? How is it that we think? Well, let me give you a couple of ideas. This is how we think. And this might not be something that you might want to think about, but I'm telling you, this is my world. Oops, that's not the one. This is the world. This is a guy here. This is Eric Bren. And Eric Bren is exemplifying what I do on a daily basis. He is constantly putting plates, and he is the great plate spinner. And this is what we do. You have to handle simultaneous issues without losing track of what you're doing. You have to be able to handle two things simultaneously. Be able to understand the Israeli point of view and the Palestinian point of view, the Tel Aviv point of view and the Gaza point of view, the Democratic point of view and the Republican point of view. You have to be able to understand it. You have to be able to handle all of these. You can't remain unless you, because if what we do is you are the truth pangendrum, as you join me, as we are pangendra. You hear what I'm saying? And you have to listen to people. You have to listen to people. And you can't overwhelm them and bludgeon them with who it is that you're right and you're wrong. Now, I also want to say something, which I want to bring to you. And I don't know how we're going to fit this one in, but this is something which I find to be so beautiful and so wonderful. And it's this picture right here. And I want you to look at this right now.
This is love.
This is
love.
This was a piece. This was a little bit of how do I say this? This was a bit of, I don't know what you want to call it, a GIF or something that was on our YouTube. Hang on a minute. There we go. Or Twitter. And I want you to look at this little kid. And I want you to look at what's happening right now. This is something which is a feeling. This is a moment that I guess people forget one more time, of what is naturally the instinct of children to love. It's the most beautiful thing in the world. And there is this part of us that we're losing. It's these wonderful instincts that we are losing. These instincts that we're losing. And I find it so problematic. And I try to tell people this. I'm saying we're losing our humanity. And they look at me like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't care about humanity. Humanity has nothing to do with this, because I don't hear anybody talking about humanity on Fox News or whatever the hell it is that people are watching. And I mean that. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying, but I'm telling you the God's honest truth. There's something about the way people are missing the point here. And they talk about religion, they talk about God, but they don't really understand what it is that's really the most important aspect of what's happening. Now, another subject. We have lost all connection to reality regarding our take on Ukraine. Okay? We have lost all, I guess, reality, one would think, regarding Ukraine. And I want you to listen to this one. This is a guy who I've always kind of sort of enjoyed, but I'm not. I always thought there's something about Rand Paul that just didn't work out. Just didn't work out for people. There was something about him that. But I want you to listen to this, and I want you to try to find fault with this. Try to find some form of error in what he's saying, or find something about this message that you find problematic.
The amount of money going to Ukraine in this bill is more than we spend on the entire Marine Corps. Think about it. We're going to send to Ukraine more money than we spend on our own Marine Corps. This is a bill about Ukraine first. This is a bill that makes us weaker. There is no money to give to Ukraine. It's not like we've got a pot of money. There is no surplus. There is no rainy day fund. This money will be printed up or borrowed from China to send to Ukraine. It makes us weaker.
Let me stop for a second. Where do you think, in the course of our development as a country, where do you think we lost our minds? Where do you think we went off the rails? Where did we lose track of who we are and what we're about and what's important and what's critical? Where do you think we lost our minds? Where do you think? What was the moment? What was that moment where all of a sudden the part of our brain and cognitive centers turned off, when we became psychopathic? You know, we use this word, and I've told you this before, we use the word pedophile all the time incorrectly. We are exhibiting more and more of psychopathy. Psychopathy, not in terms of not being able to appreciate necessarily the pain and suffering of others, but to appreciate consequence. More, Senator Paul, more.
Once the border bill failed and they decided that this wasn't really about the border, that this was about Ukraine's border, the American firsters plowed on, but with a more intellectually honest proposal. Nothing for America, everything for Ukraine.
Now, when you say that to people, because I'm seeing something right now which is just, let me go back. We're unable to handle multiple issues simultaneously, hence Eric Bren. Number two, we are losing what I believe is this inherent sense of compassion that we should feel, and also sentience to an extent. And by the way, we're also brutalizing children to the point and to the extent that I can't even put into words anymore. We're not paying attention to any kind of news. And for some reason or another, we are sitting in our chair, as Marjorie Main suggested during and also it was Percy Kilbride, he was Pa Kettle. And we just sit back and we just pray for rain. We think that just somehow something's going to happen as we speak. Well, let Senator Paul continue.
That's what this bill is. Nothing for America, nothing to stop the invasion of nearly 1 million people across our southern border. They offered a border bill that would have said, well, if we have an emergency, the emergency's already happened. Nearly 1 million people came in the last 2 months. That is the emergency.
So let me ask you, what do you think the problem is? I don't know. Our problem as a country is so deep, it is almost psychiatric. It is not something that lends itself to, how do I say this? It's not something that lends itself to rational thought. It's something that lends itself to something which I cannot, for the life of me, explain or put into perspective. I don't know. As we speak, all over the country, what are they called again, honey? These new places, a sanctuary. These new the homes, but there's another one too. The sanctuary homes. There's a way of, but these projects. They used to have these things called projects. Black people lived in the project. Yeah, I know, but there was a name. Yeah, I know, but there was a name. Okay. And in the old days, we had these things called projects. And you lived in the projects. It was the housing projects. And it was begrudging. And then New York, there's a thing called NYCHA, NYCHA, New York City Housing Authority. And those are subsidized. It became subsidized housing for poor people, black people. This is what people thought. Latino people, but poor people. But American people never even thought about it. People used to bitch about and say, why do these people need? But they're American. I don't give a damn if they're Americans or not. I didn't have it. Okay, fine. And that argument, that piece of whatever it was, that's been going on since the beginning of time. Okay, now we're having huge swaths of real estate. And the funny part is, it's in areas that you cannot believe, that at one point were considered so posh and so monetarily restrictive. And they're called like not sanctuary, but there's a name for it. It's basically low income, not low income housing. It's free housing where you don't even have to, you don't, there were people. Yeah, they don't use homeless or unhoused. Okay. Barry Taylor says, I think we lost our minds when corporate America bought up our media, TV, magazines, radio, etc. Yeah, it's true, but thank you. But it was the message they were giving. You see, you can have corporate America buy up media and have a good message. I mean, I don't know why corporate media, this may sound crazy, why you think this has to be a negative message. I don't know. But let me tell you this much. But there were black people who had to go and qualify. They had to fill out the papers. Do you make enough or do you make too much? And we'll put you on the waiting list. That's over with. Black people, goodbye. Meet these people. These are the illegals. And they don't have to put up any, they're just presumed. Take it, not for you. And one of the things I don't understand is, I don't know how you would say this to black folks, but you used to be the darling of the Democratic Party. They cared about you. A lot of folks used to say, hey, how come you care so much about black folks and civil rights? Americans, mind you. That was the old days. Well, guess what, Black America? You're with us. We're in the same boat. They're not paying attention to us either. And that's where Trump should be absolutely brutal. They are selling you out, Black America. And Bobby Kennedy, don't trust this guy. And I told you before, I'm very, and I don't mean to be like this, but I'm very concerned about people who are heroin addicts, or as my clients used to call it, heron. Remember Gil Scott Heron? He said 1 L, 2 T's, no I. It was heron, not heroin. Okay? Now you can't, I don't know how you can tell people, but Black America, you are not on the list. Join us. It's a great Cam Fong, as Chin Ho said. We're all in this together, brother. Remember this? Hawaii 5-0. Chin Ko Kelly. We're all in this together, brother. And gay folks. Oh my God. L. I guess that's lesbian. Very good. G. Gay. Very good. B. Bisexual. There's no straight. No, not straight. LGB. Okay, wait a minute. Wait. There's more. There's more. T. What's trans? Oh, transvestites? No, transgender. Wait a minute, transgender? What does that mean? Well, it means non-binary. Whoa. What does that mean? Well, not man and woman. Excuse me. We've always understood this, but gay has always meant man and woman. Gay men, gay women. There were certainly subsidiaries of that had to deal with non-binary, but they were, excuse me, gay America, screw you. You're over here. It's T. I'm going to bring something to your attention. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to clear your head for just a moment. And I'm going to ask you I'm going to see whether you believe me when I tell you about something. But first, this absolutely critical message from another one of our critical sponsors. It's time yet again, my friends, to hail and salute our great friends at mypillow.com. And if you use promo code Lionel, you'll get a free gift. No purchase necessary. And yes, I know a free gift. It's a tautology, so sue me. But first, listen carefully. Check out their $25 extravaganzas. Premium My Pillows, Queen and King, My Pillow 2.0. My Pillow bed sheets, the lowest price ever. Sandals, slides, slippers, 6-piece towel sets, 4-pack dish towel sets. Simply and absolutely unbelievable. So go to mypillow.com/Lionel, mypillow.com promo code Lionel, or call 800-645-4965 and watch how fast Mike Lindell answers the phone. mypillow.com, simply and absolutely the best. I'm going to tell you something which people have a hard time understanding, but we're going to try our best. And you don't have to be able to enunciate it perfectly as long as you understand the concept. There are people who live in the world of entertainment. And I've told you about this. Remember, entertainment and culture are all downstream from, well, actually, politics is downstream from this world of entertainment. And the people at the very top, the ones who come in, the Michael Douglases, entertainment has always been a part of politics. But they are a part of it. But there's a different story. There is a new group rooted that says, give me, when we always say historically, give me your firstborn male child. Remember that one? They asked everything, and your firstborn. There was this almost like a joke, not a joke, but it was this recurring theme. It was this, your firstborn. Give us your firstborn. Okay. What does that mean, the firstborn? Well, it doesn't mean firstborn, but give us your firstborn. Okay. All right. Do you know the number of people in Hollywood who have agreed to, how do we say this? To sell their children to the non-binary transgender god? Think Baphomet, but something, who will give them a new status if you give us one of yours. Now, this may sound, I just want you to just think about this. You probably know no truly transgender person. That doesn't mean that they don't exist, but you don't. And you probably most assuredly don't know a transgender child. A transgender child does not understand its favorite colors yet. It doesn't understand. It doesn't understand anything. Mommy, daddy, love, puppies, Superman. It just doesn't know. And you know, I'm a man, I'm a girl, I'm a boy. Well, okay, fine. I'm not saying there are not, but at children. Do you recognize the number of people who represent trans? I don't want to say non-binary because I'm not even sure, but the trans community in Hollywood compared to the rest of the world. Do you know that? Do you know that of this rather small community, the number of people who are trans, it defies any kind of statistical reality. Give us one of your children and enjoy a life of whatever you want to call it. The number of people, the number of Hollywood stars who have, and it's not, and remember when it was, we have a biracial kid. That is so passe now. It's not even funny. Not even funny. Remember in the old days, used to be Russian kids. Well, we're adopting a Russian child. Really? What about American children? Pfft, get out of here. They're Russian. Russian, yeah, okay. Russian family? Russian. All right. Okay. Fair enough. Then that was, and then there was a problem with some kind of, I forget what it was, some kerfuffle they had with Russian adoption. Then it was Chinese. You have Chinese children now. Really? Biracial is boring. Boring. Oh my God. One time I was doing a talk radio show and I said, do you, from the subject was, do you think a biracial child enjoys or should be taken into consideration in terms of the racial identity of the child today versus whatever? And I said, well, first of all, if I had a child who was biracial, I think Mrs. L, we would say, well, I want my, let's say black and white, or black child. I want my child to be able to understand. Do you have an identity with, shall I provide you with, does my white world in any way deprive you of a racial identity? And they said, what are you talking about? Well, same thing with a Chinese kid. If we adopted a Chinese child, don't you think you'd want the child to be able to say, I know you're born here and you don't have a Chinese accent, and for all your life, you're a baby and you were born in Cleveland and you're an American, but I want you to understand kind of what you know what I mean? Am I able to do that? Am I depriving a kid? People thought, I said, frankly, and oh, they went crazy with this one. I said, if you had two parents, equal, and you had a black child, who should the child go to? Which adopted people? The white family or the black family? I said, the black family. What? I said, what are you talking about? That's so passe now. We're not even talking about that. Now it's going to be trans. And you are going to get, mark my words, it's going to be like, ooh, we have a trans kid? Yes. We saw this. How many years ago was that with that crazy lunatic we knew who said, my son's painting his toenails and wearing a dress? I thought, oh my God, I'm so sorry. No, what do you mean sorry? That's great. That's great. I was so naive. I didn't know this was, they saw it coming. This is where we're going now. Attention, Black people, gay people, Latino. Oh, you can forget it. You know, all that hard work you had to go to, coming over, setting up, sponsors, all that. No. Trump is sitting there, sitting with this incredible group of people who are so beholden to him. And I don't know if he is able to do it. Now, let's change the subject just a little bit. Now, I want you to understand that when it comes to the world of media, sometimes there are things that, for lack of a better word, I guess you might want to say these things, well, they're presented in different ways. Let me see if I can explain this to you. Okay? Let me see if I can explain this to you. Oh, hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. I want to do a little bit more of an intro here. I want you to see this. This is Harvard University. And I want you to just watch this, and I want you to tell me what you think. Just tell me what you think when you see this. Just they are ostensibly in favor of or protesting or demonstrating or whatever you want to call it on behalf of Palestinians and the Palestinian cause and Gazans. And just watch this and tell me what you think. Do you view this as being a bunch of sincere folks, or do you consider this to be, well, you tell me. That's a drum, not fire. What do you think about that? Let me ask you something. What does that do? Did that inspire? What did that inspire? What did you see? Now remember, that is not in any way indicative of the Palestinian movement. There's nothing to do with Gaza. There are people right now in Gaza who are saying, I don't know anything about this. There is 5,000 Palestinians dead. The numbers are just the story, the reality is horrific. What does that do to convey to you the cause? Does that put you in connection with the Palestinian cause, or does that make you say, this is nothing? Do you dismiss the Palestinian cause because of that, or does that activity inspire you? What do you think? What do you think about that? Rich, entitled children, they want to be 60s protesters. I saw them practicing or preparing. We had high school pep rallies that were organized and united, I'm reading. That was simply chaos and disjointed. Looks like college orientation, LOL. That's the thing I'm saying. What do you think you are conveying? You're woo. Now, let me be brutal. Imagine this was 1939, 1940, and the Holocaust was made aware. And that was American students at Harvard protesting against the Holocaust. Yay! Ding, 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 woo! Set up a camp here. What This is the part that I don't understand. It's this disjointed, it's, I think, exacerbated and promoted and proposed and exacerbated, I should say, by the social media world. But now, I just want you to think about this. Take that in. Now, what people like the Ackmans and everybody, when I say Ackmans, Bob Kraft, a lot of other people, Robert Kraft, they're going to be showing you that these colleges do nothing. Sean Martin says undermining the cause. Absolutely. And they're going to be looking at this. They're going to be saying, they're going to be asking heads of college. By the way, if you destroy the Ivy League, let me help you. I despise these people. So if that's what brings them down, okay. But imagine you're just a jury. Now, is this the only type of protest? No. Are there other serious ones? Yes, there must be, but we don't see them. We see this. Is that by design? Of course, it's by design, but it's also there. It's like years ago they said, well, you know, a lot of times they would show, of course, in the days of Jim Crow, lynching. And I said, the fact that they could show lynching is the part that you're missing. That's the critical part. Now, let me tell you this much. Now, I want you to watch this. I don't know if this was, excuse me, I don't know if this was, hang on, I don't know if this was Emory. I'm not really sure where this was. But but imagine this, okay? Now, imagine this very carefully. Now, listen to me carefully. Imagine you are a juror and you are watching this. And I am representing, in a personal injury case, students who were hurt during these protests and the like. Now, the first one was just drums, but I want you to ask yourself, as a juror, you're going to be evaluating police either reaction, overreaction, behavior, or whatever, just as a juror. And I'm not asking, I'm looking for one thing or another, but ask yourself this important question. What is your reaction to this? Look at this woman, or woman, I think.
You're hurting me.
Okay, watch this.
You're hurting me. Ow! 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 Help! Help!
Okay. Now let me ask you a very simple question. She, in that particular case, I would argue that she dropped. He was ordered to, whatever. But I want you to watch this tackle. And I want you to watch this tackle and ask yourself, first of all, look around. Do you see anything on fire? Do you see anything? Just look at this right here and ask yourself. Now look at this woman. Imagine, remember, this is your daughter. And this is obviously this police officer's in great shape, something that New York City, by the way, needs. He is running, he's building up speed, and this is to teach somebody a lesson. Now remember, imagine, I know I can't say this. This is your daughter. Now watch this. Or brother, I'm not sure. How about that? So let me ask you a question. What do you think about that? What's your take? What do you think so? Police misuse of authority? What do you think about that? Heisman? Okay, that was good. Heisman. What do you think about that? Bring it. Okay. I mean, this is important. There's no right. Some people said, oh, she loved that in the bedroom. That's, of course, you got to make a. That's, of course, I've got to say something funny. You know what I mean? And, that's too much force, Raul says. Job well done. Overreaction. Was that necessary? To run, remember, not walk over, say, excuse me. Coming with me. Imagine there's Laura says, need more context. Okay. But that's what you're going to get. Imagine there is a shoplifter in a Walmart or a Costco, and I say shoplifter line through aisle 3. He goes, that one there, and this guy, let's say, picks up and dives and gets. Do you think that would be? Or would you say, I need more context? Is that necessary? Wouldn't you love the cross-examination officer? Yes. Did you go to the police academy? Yes. And did you ever take a class on, and by the way, I would have so many experts, police studies, 30-year veteran, 50-year veteran. If I said, officer, what would you do? You could say, well, unless we got word that that particular person tackled had a gun or threatened somebody, I'd fire them immediately. It was unnecessary. Your idea is to de-escalate. It's not to just attack people because you don't like them. It's not to bowl them over. Imagine, I'd fire him in a heartbeat. Imagine this is a chief of police. What if Grady Judd? What if I said, Sheriff Judd from Polk County, Florida? What would you do? Is that the way you do it? Do you have in your training, do you say, listen, normally this is a part of your police training where we would talk to you about de-escalating situations. We don't have that anymore. When you see somebody like that, if they're wearing a keffiyeh or whatever, am I pronouncing this thing carefully? I don't think I'm saying it the right way. I think it's keffiyeh. Keffiyeh, I think it's called. This is a Syrian. This is a village. This is a clothing. Let me see, clothing. I think that is a particular style. Oh, keffiyeh. This is keffiyehs are commonly found in arid regions. Were adopted as a headdress by Bedouin tribes. It's a practice and protective covering for the head and face used in the desert climates, traditionally crafted from cotton. You know what I mean? That's the sign. What do you think about that? Imagine that is your daughter. And your daughter comes to you, I mean, broken. Back problems from now on. Goodbye athletic career. Your daughter was a lacrosse player. Has to give up the scholarship. Let me embellish this. Let me deliberately do this. And you're going to say, well, you were there. Well, what was I doing? Well, you were protesting. I was standing there. Now, let me ask you something. Let me ask you this question. Take what I just showed you right now, and instead of that being, I say it's Emory University. I don't know where it is. Let's say that was January 6th. And somebody was standing there. Not the guy with the eye patch or the ones with the camis and the gods and the flag. But let's say a woman standing there. And if you ever see where the Congress is across from the Supreme Court, you cross the street. There it is. And you could be just walking there. But let's say all during January, so you go, what's going on there? Well, honey, don't get too close because they're over there. Okay, I'm standing here. What is that? I want to take a pictures of this. I don't know what this is. And all of a sudden, this guy clotheslines, he does a butt kiss and takes out your daughter. How would you feel about that? What would you feel if that was January 6th? Same circumstances, same everything. But you say, no, wait a minute. Were January 6th protesters? Were they? I mean, Ashley Babbitt. How many here think that Ashley Babbitt was mistreated? Shot like a dog. Killed. Veteran. Why? Well, she was breaking the law. She was banging on that glass. Yeah, but whatever. She was banging on that glass. Well, she was banging on the glass, but well. Yeah, but that's different. What about this one? Oh, that's different. That's that pro-Palestinian. That's these spoiled brat kids at these elite schools pretending they care about what's going on. I don't believe them. But January 6th, that's a different story. I know people who will switch it. January 6th, They don't care if the police mowed them down because they look at January 6th as insurrection, seditious conspiracy. Do you see what's happening right now? Two different circumstances. But are they? Two different circumstances affected by what you believe to be the legitimacy, the seriousness, the background of what we're seeing right now. This is what this is about. This is what you got to ask right now. Now, whenever somebody is forced, whenever somebody said, all right, move along, and they drop to the ground, if you're given a lawful order by a police officer, whatever it is, January 6th, Columbia University, and a police officer said, move, and you're picked up, I don't see anything wrong with that. Assuming it's a valid order. Remember, if it's not, if a police officer gives you an illegal order, you do not have to comply. Who determines whether it's illegal? Well, that's done later on. If a police officer is clearly acting outside of the scope of his authority, if a police officer orders you to have sex with his partner, no, well, that's an order. Well, that's an illegal order. All right. So here's my question. When you saw these campus people with the drums and whatever it is, did any of you say, well, they're not hurting anybody. This is peaceful. They're, I don't know whether they got approval of this, but they're not breaking anything. They're not really doing anything. I mean, all protests to an extent are in one form or another comfortable. But no, you said these elites, these kids, these snotty, right? Because you don't like them. That's nothing to do with their cause. It's them. You don't view their cause to be legitimate. And if you do, it's not going to be with a snare drum and a bunch of pub tents or somebody saying, yay, and taking pictures and celebrating. Because if you're going to protest, you can't have fun. And the moment you have fun, the moment I just discard any attempt at you maintaining or trying to conjoin some form of legitimacy. You got that? As far as a police officer, I want to hear that. I would give me that pen, whatever damages, that was unnecessary. Absolutely. Give me the pen. I'll be the foreman. How many zeros would you like? How's the child doing? Well, she has PTSD. I'm assuming it's a woman. I don't know. It could be a boy. I don't know. But let's assume it's a girl. PTSD. Just let me write this down. PTSD. What else? Has trouble sleeping. Has developed a sincere fear of phobia of police officers. Got it. What else? Had to quit school. Got it. Has to go to physical therapy. Got it. Lost her scholarship because of the back injury. Got it. Anything else? Got it. Okay. Plus, this was what interview? Okay. Then we're going to put on punitive damage stuff. We're going to put on, here are the other, kind of like Weinstein. This is the other stuff they've been through. The other cases, the other problems, this is other examples, other additional cases of lawsuits and similar. Really? Oh, yes. Here's some memos. Here's some testimony from people who say that, oh, we're encouraged. We love this. We used to sit around the barracks and look at these videos and laugh. Hey, that was a great tackle. We were not taught. We were not given any information, any encouragement to bring things down, to say, okay, that's enough. Come on, folks, you're going to have to leave. Come on, let's go. This guy saw her, ran, and now remember, for all we know, the officer could say, I heard this person has a knife, has a gun. Absent that. So what happened? What happened? Where are we in this? Explain this to me. How do you figure out all of these simultaneously? How do you figure out all of these, what's the word? These different issues simultaneously. How do you do this? How? How are you able to warrant a, is there a one particular way of looking at it? To me, apples and oranges. They have nothing to do with it. A protest has nothing to do with the legitimacy of that which they are protesting. If we had, during the time of the Holocaust, organized, suit and tied, ward cleaver types meeting and singing songs in favor of the systematic liquidation of Jews and gypsies and homosexuals by the millions, no. But they would be very orderly. They would be proper. They would get their permits. They would be standing. That, I mean, they would have, unfortunately, they would have the right to say that, but that doesn't legitimize. So the fact of how one carries out their particular protest in no way changes the message, whether it's stupid or crazy or dumb or whatever. Doesn't work like that. So don't think that this is just a matter of, well, as long. No. The two have nothing to do with each other. What happens in Gaza, what happens in Rafah, what happens with going on right now with Hamas or October the 7th has nothing to do with what is being done on campuses. Nothing. I don't know what they're accomplishing. Let me ask you something, ladies and gentlemen. Have you had your opinion in any way changed, bolstered? If I'm not going to change your mind, I don't want to bother with this. When they don't really have it like they used to, but the Gay Pride March was absolutely nuts. It was the wildest thing you have ever seen in your life. It was unbelievable. You can't believe what you were seeing. It was I'm telling you, unbelievable. You cannot in any way understand what it is that we saw. At the same time, I was asking myself, what do you think is the benefit of this? What are you accomplishing by this? What are you trying to do? What is your message? What is your message? What do you think it was? Tell me what? How are you winning anybody over? And I would ask people, I said, are you doing anything? For example, are you having gay police officers marching down the street? Are you having gay war veterans and heroes? No. What are you doing with this? What are you accomplishing with this? What is the point of this? What do you think you're doing? Tell me what you're trying to convey. And they said, I don't care. I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? I don't know. How is it that you possibly, and this is the point, this is a critical thing. How is it that you possibly think what are you doing by this? Well, we're enjoying being gay. I understand that. And you have the right to enjoy being. Is this what being gay is? And they looked at me. I said, driving around a 6'4" guy on a unicycle in a tutu, a guy in leather they have these people in their leather pants with their ass hanging out like village people. What is this doing? Is this what being gay? And I used to ask people, I said, what does this mean? Do you want me to say, hey, give them you have the right to do this if you want, not hurting anybody, but it's silly. Do you care? We don't care what you think. Apparently not. I would have had the Marines. See all those people right now? They're gay. See those Purple Heart recipients? They're gay. See those firemen? They're gay. See those cops? They're gay. First responders, gay. Teachers, gay. Nurses, gay. Doctors, gay. Moms and dads, gay. Gay, gay. They're all over. They're Americans, and they enjoy this day. Leave them alone. And this guy with his ass hanging out with the leather chaps, I don't know what to tell you about that. But that's what he wants to do. What are you going to do? And they never understood it. Bernays of public relations. What is the message? What is the message that Trump wants to give? What do you feel by this? Tell me, have you felt what was the area, the story that made you, that really changed the way you think or cemented the way you think about what's going on? The horrors that are going on right now as we speak in Gaza, I never learned on one American, quote, cable or conventional mainstream media program. I learned them all on platforms that are either foreign or digital or somebody else. I never knew. Did you ever hear the word anything about Balfour Declaration, and the Nakba, and the catastrophe? Do you never know? Do you know anything about what happened? Do you learn anything about it in 2005? No. Do you know anything about Bibi? Do you know anything about Bibi's problems he's got? And no. All you hear on news, October the 7th, it started. Nothing happened before. Hamas is a terrorist organization. There was a terrorist attack. Israel has a right to defend itself. That's it. And as long as Gaza keeps supporting these people and voting them in, and as long as Hamas keeps using hospitals and universities and apartment buildings as human shields, what are you going to get? We gave it to you. We said, here, take your Gaza. And what did you do? You use it as a means to attack Israel. Well, you know what? That's the way it goes. That's the way you think, right? I mean, that's what they say. That's the American way of doing it. And anybody who dares to go against Israel is anti-Semitic. And any Jew who goes against Israel is out of his mind. I mean, he's a quisling. He's a traitor. That's it. End of discussion. Let's watch these crazy people on campuses. This one getting tackled. That's it. That is called propaganda. Public relations. That is the most important message I can give you. And that's all. And you showed it yourself by being that. You see these, when you see these kids, when you see that Ilhan Omar's daughter with the nose studs and the and you know what, I'll tell you right now, you want to make me lose my shit? You want me to? Huh? Let me see a mask. I go nuts. The other day, this Breitbart journalist walked into this thing, this whatever you want to call it, this group. I think it was UCLA, and they said, "Excuse me, do you have a pass?" And he said, "Excuse me, who the are you?" "Yeah, the First Amendment's my pass." "I got your pass right here. It's the First Amendment. Get out of my way." "No, I'm sorry. You can't come here. You can't photograph." "Excuse me, Moondog. Who the hell are you? Stardust? Who are these twits?" And then, "Would you wear a mask?" "Wear a mask." Because the mask is the barrier to their soul. I hated these people. And then I thought, excuse me, I want to show you something. what I want to show you a picture. This is a video of this man digging out his family, and he's pulling out his kids like you would pull out imagine a dollhouse or something, pulling kids like this. There's my daughter, there's my son by the leg, covered in this gray dust, this pyroclastic dust. Their faces like mannequins, lifeless, dead, squashed, crushed, pulling them out. And people taking them in the red. I'm thinking, this is what you should be talking about. This is but no. You're looking at a bunch of spoiled brats at Harvard taking down the American flag. And let me tell you, whoever is doing this, because I always think, okay, who's behind it? What's the story? Who's really, propelling this? Who's, who's the agent provocateur? Who's the... That's the issue. So some of you said before something to the effect of, yeah, when mainstream corporate media bought, it's not just media, because you have all the media you want. You have it right there. My friend recently said, I got this great Wi-Fi. I get my cable. I can get my news. I said, well, you can also get news from around the world. Why do I want that? Well, don't you want to see the news of France or Russia or China or Ramallah or Saudi Arabia or Qatar? Don't you want to hear what they have to say too? No. You don't? No. Well, how do you know what they're saying? I don't care what they're saying. But you're not going to understand. But I don't care. That's the problem. Not the media. Not the media. Because we've got it all right here. Don't give me this bullshit about, well, the problem is he reads the New York Times. Well, whose fault is that? I don't know. That's like people who say, how come you're so overweight? Well, because look, we've got fast food and we don't. No. You've got fast news, fast food. That's the issue right now. This, I'm telling you, this is the issue. This is the story. This is it. This is life. This is the guy. You got to be able to handle everything simultaneously. And I'm telling you, it's tough. It's very difficult. And people don't want to do this. This drives people crazy. I understand it. They can't handle it. They got to have plus or minus, left or right, up or down. But you're better than that, and you're smarter than that. And I thank you. My friends, as you know, as I've said to you repeatedly, please, dear friends, I have put for you Mrs. L's, what am I trying to say? There we go, right here, my friends. This is her YouTube channel, and you have been so terrific. You've made her day and our day with that right there. So please follow her, Lynn's Warriors, on YouTube. And let me thank you for following me. I want you to think. I hope when you leave every day, you say, you know what? I'm not going to lecture you about something. I want to change the way you think. I want the way you process information. That's all I care about. Come up with your own decision. I don't care about that. But critical thinking and why we respond to things and why is it that kids, they did the same thing in the 60s? And by the way, the Vietnam War was horrible. 58,000 Americans killed, but we responded to a bunch of barefoot, smelly, dirty, pot smoking freaks. See? What about the Vietnam War? That's why the I Have a Dream speech is so good, because it was respectful and it was eloquent. And you had Marlon Brando and Charlton Heston, and you had all these people, and they were like, this is serious. Man, white, black. Did you see the way they look? Oh, they were so beautiful with ties, and it was orderly, it was beautiful. It's like, that got my attention. Not today. No, because Moondog and Stardust, no, they're going to have fun with their snare drum making a fool out of themselves. All right? You got that? Okay, my friends. Well, thank you so much. Barry Taylor and Sean Martin, thank you for your inane generosity and philanthropy this morning in promoting Lionel Nation and saying thank you in your way. Thank you for this. Your donations, your support make it's one of the greatest things ever. If I could do one thing and do nothing but, it would be this. My own particular way of thinking. Remember, I don't want to teach you something. I want to teach you how to think. That's what I like. I want you to say, oh, that's interesting. That's all. All right, dear friends. Don't forget, follow me here at Lionel Nation. Make sure you're subscribed. Also, keep track of that Lionel Media on X. It's Lionel Nation here, Lionel Media on X, or Twitter, as we all call it. And we'll see you later on this evening. Have a great and glorious day. Don't ever change me. That sincerely. And comment, dear friends. Comment as you see fit.